In the Super Mario Bros. Movie, Mario and Princess Peach square off against Bowser to stop his plans of conquering the world and to save everyone's favorite big little brother, Luigi. What's up, my dude? Your friendly neighborhood Tony here, and I just went and watched the new Super Mario Bros. Movie last night, so I wanted to jump on real quick, share my thoughts with you guys to let you know whether or not I think it's worth you spending your time and money to go watch. If that kind of thing sounds good to you and you want to see more movie reviews, trailer reactions, and ranking videos, make sure you subscribe. Now, as I do with all my reviews, I'm going to go over a little bit of information just about the movie in general. Then I'll talk about the things I liked, the pros, followed by the things I didn't like so much, the cons. And then finally, whether or not I recommend you check this movie out, and if not, who I think should be watching this movie. So of course, the Mario Brothers movie is brought to you by Nintendo, as well as Universal and Illumination, who's the studio that also brought you Despicable Me, The Secret Life of Pets, and Sing. The movie is directed by Aaron Horvath and Michael Jelenic, who haven't really done much outside of some Teen Titans Go work. One of them was a director on Teen Titans Go to the Movies, but aside from that, this is really what I would consider to be their big break. Now, the question is it a wahoo or an ay ay ay? Oh God, that was terrible. I'm sorry. So let's start off, of course, with the pros. Right off the bat, I want to say, if you are a die-hard Mario fan, there is so much fan service in this movie, whether it's some of the musical cues from various Mario games over the years, a ton of characters that you will know and love, including some that you might not even remember. And not just from Mario games, from Nintendo franchises going back to the original NES. And also, and probably my favorite, is the tie-ins to the original games in the way the movie is shot. There are straight up platforming scenes in this movie. There's a Mario Kart scene that I'm sure saw in the trailer, but they really do a great job of tying in not only the lore and the music of Mario and of Nintendo, but the actual gameplay itself, which is pretty dope. In addition to that, the animation is top notch. Whether it's the character models, the background art, or just the fluidity of the actual animation, you can really tell that they spared no expense. And to be honest, if it wasn't as good as it is, I would be shocked, because this is Nintendo's most famous product. So of course they're going to spend every bit of money that they possibly can to get the very best art and animation. Aside from that, there are a couple of characters and the actors that play those characters that I think do a tremendous job, whether it's Jack Black as Bowser, Charlie Day as Luigi, or one of my favorites, Keegan-Michael Key as Toad. They are perfection in their roles. Also, I really love that they let Jack Black go full Jack Black in his role. And I don't want to spoil exactly some of the scenes, but if you're an old school Jack Black fan, if you're an old school Tenacious D fan even, you are going to love him in this movie. And finally, as far as the pros are concerned, I want to say that the world building is really well done. There have been dozens of Mario and other Mario adjacent games over the past almost 40 years. And there are so many different worlds and iconic scenes and even galaxies, if you will, that have been used in these games. And they do a fantastic job of tying so many of those in. It really does lend for the opportunity for a lot of spin-offs or sequels. They're building an entire universe here in this movie. And I think they do a really great job of making all the different places look unique and interesting in their own ways. So those are the main pros, the things that really stick out to me as being really good in this movie. There are a few cons though, so let's get into those. For one, and probably the biggest con that I have, is that this movie spends most of its hour-and-a-half long runtime with little jokes and nods to fans, right? Remember that fan service that I mentioned? It spends the majority of the film on that, so much so that it kind of forgets to have a really good and compelling story. The plot itself it's pretty basic, but again, it's based on Mario games, and the plot for most Mario games is also pretty basic, right? You go through a side-scrolling level and try to save somebody from a castle, and that's effectively what the whole movie is. And although that might work in a simple, straightforward video game that is mostly about the gameplay elements, it doesn't really work for me in something like a film. It's just, you can really feel the lack of meat on the bones, if you will. Also, of course, we can't go through a Mario review without commenting on some of the less ideal voice acting in this movie. I hate to pile on it, but it's just simply the truth. It was absolutely noticeable when I was watching the movie. Chris Pratt as Mario is just not great. As well as, unfortunately, Anya Taylor-Joy as Princess Peach. I love Anya Taylor-Joy, but her Princess Peach just felt uninspired. As well as Mario, as well as Chris Pratt's Mario. They just didn't really do anything that stood out, especially when you have other actors like Jack Black, like Charlie Day, like Keegan-Michael Key, like Seth Rogen even. All of these character actors who have very distinct personalities and voices and sounds. And then you have Chris Pratt and Anya Taylor-Joy, who are the main protagonists of the movie. You spend the vast majority of the time with them. And for them to kind of just be flat was a big letdown. All in all, I think the Mario movie is for two different groups of people. One is the diehard Mario fans, people that have been playing Mario their entire lives, who are gonna ooh and ah over all the different nods and fan service pieces throughout the movie, and then go to the lobby of the theater afterwards and rant over it with their friends, talking about all the little things that you might have missed, aka me and my friends. And then also for families with young kids who want to take them to another Illumination movie. You know, people like my niece and nephew who love Despicable Me and Minions and all those other movies. Although I will say a note on that, there are some more adult things that happen in this movie. I don't mean adult as in something that's like rated R, but rather if you're bringing a little kid, I might be wary. There are, of course, moments of cartoon violence, as you might expect, but they even use words like kill and die throughout the movie, which I know to an adult is not a big deal, but I know a lot of times when it comes to young children, their programming, oftentimes you don't use words like that. So just something to be aware of if you're bringing your little one, if you think that's something that they might not be able to handle. All in all, though, it was a pretty good movie. I had a good time watching it, but I don't know if I would recommend it to just everyone. Honestly, unless you fall into one of those two categories, this is probably a movie that's not going to blow you away. But if you think you do fall into one of those two categories, you already know. And you've probably already got your tickets. But of course, these are all just my thoughts, my opinions. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I would love to hear your thoughts. If you've seen the new Mario movie, did you love it? Did you hate it? Were you kind of indifferent to it? If nothing else, I'm really excited to see where it goes from here, because now that Nintendo is back in the movie business, I think it's going to be good for everyone. And I'm sure this movie is going to make a ton of money. So undoubtedly, we're going to get sequels and spinoffs. And I'm here for it. But either way, whatever you think, let me know in the comments below. Also, real quick, if you want to support me and my little channel here, I'm just a tiny little channel. I don't even have 1,000 subscribers yet, but if you want to support me, the best way to do that right now is through my Amazon affiliate link in the description box. So basically, if you plan on buying anything on Amazon today, if you go through that link, it doesn't cost you anything extra and it just gives me a little kickback. So if you do, I appreciate it. Otherwise, I'll catch you in the next one. All right. Be good.